Junkyard Junkie, back here with another video. Today we're going to be replacing the crankshaft sill on this 2010 Mazda 3. But this should be the exact same procedure from 2005 all the way to 2013. Okay, so before we get started, you will need some special tools like this Ford camshaft alignment kit. We're going to use this one and the shorter one. We got to get it in time because Mazda and Ford started using diamond plated washers, so friction washers to hold everything in. If any of y'all know why they would choose to do this over keyways, please leave it down in the comments down below, because I don't see any advantage. I only see disadvantage to having this set up. So we'll also need a Sill Puller. You can use a screwdriver, but why use a screwdriver when you can just use the right tool? It's pretty inexpensive and you don't risk marring anything up. So one more thing you'll need, one more specialty tool, is a stretch belt installation tool. You can either use this one or you can just use zip ties if you want, but I have it, so I'm gonna use it. And for the last specialty tool you'll need is something to hold down the crankshaft pulley. I just got this is new to me. It's actually made for Mazda and Fords to hold it down, which is great because I was just using a bar and bolts. This is made for it, so can't wait to try it out. So let's get started. Okay, so first thing we want to do is remove this little beauty cover. It just snaps up. It's just held in with these little push tabs. Okay, so next we want to remove these cool packs and take out the spark plugs. That way we can turn the engine over easier, and the valve cover is going to have to come off. Okay, so you want to go ahead and get a 15mm. Take these two off right here. And then we'll switch to a 8mm to go ahead and take out all of these. Okay, so let's pop all these out. Go ahead and take these, and I usually just put them right up here. Take all of these out. You want to disconnect this VVT. There we go. And we're going to have to take it off of these right here. Okay, so before you pull out the spark plugs, you want to blow all this off with compressed air. Our air compressor is down at the moment. We're fixing it. So I'm just going to wipe it down really good. Okay, after you clean it up, you just want to go ahead and take off all of this connected to it. So these right here, we'll just take a screwdriver. I'll show you how to do it. They can break, but if you just kind of work them out, they'll come out just like that. Don't pull on the wires. Make sure to pull on the actual clip itself. Some of them are a real pain to get off like that. So go ahead and take that one off, this one off, and we should be able to end this one off, and we'll be ready for the next part. To take the spark plugs out, you'll need a 5/8 spark plug socket. I'm using a magnetic one. I don't really care for the O-ring type. These just work better. Okay, so now we can go ahead and take off these spark plugs. Two. 3. And 4. There we go. So now all we gotta do is take off all these bolts going around it. They're 8mm, and then we'll be able to pull the valve cover off. Okay, go ahead and take your dipstick out. Go ahead and put it up somewhere. Keep it safe. We gotta have that removed to take the valve cover off. Okay, so with all of these little tabs like this disconnected, now we can get to everything. But before that, we want to take this off right here, or disconnect it, I mean. So we want to go ahead and push this in and pull it off. So we can disconnect that. Go ahead and take this PCV hose off. It just slides right off. Push it to the side. And now we can get to every bolt we need to get to. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way around. And then you got 1 and 2 inside. So I like to try to line them up kind of how they came out. That way we know where everything goes. That's a 10 on top of there, and then an 8 below it. Come in here. We will also need to take this off of its little bracket right here. Okay, so we'll go ahead and grab this one. Then we'll go ahead and take this one out. Okay, so we're going to disconnect this right here. Just push down, pull out, and then we can remove it from under here. There we go. Now we have that disconnected. Go ahead and unplug these injectors. That way all this can just kind of move over here. Give us a little more area. Okay, so now we just need to get a 10mm. Go ahead and take this right off. Don't lose that. So all you're going to do is reach down here, wiggle this off. So if we look down in here, there is another 10 holding the bracket in. Take that out. Be very careful, because I can already tell it's going to want to fall. There we go. And it comes off our thing. I'm actually going to leave the bolt in it right there. And this push to the side. Now we have everything out of our way. So we'll go ahead and take out this last 8. Okay, we still got these last 2 in the middle. Now then, it is ready to come off. I'm not going to pull it right now because I'm almost done for the day. So I will pull it off tomorrow. That way it's only open for a little while. But before you do pull it out, just double check that you have everything out. Pull it up, and if it feels like it's hung on something, figure out where it feels like that at and make sure it isn't. Okay, so now we're just going to raise the car up. Okay, so you just want to take out all the lug nuts. Okay, now we'll just remove the wheel. Time to try to remove this stretch belt, and you want to go ahead and take this 10mm off and try to get these out of the way. Go ahead and ask me how I know, because this right here, I had to put a whole new power steering hose on it just because the tool accidentally came up there and hit it. Okay, so we're just going to go ahead and cut this belt off. Just pull it off, we'll have to replace it. Okay, now that we got this out, we need to get this other belt off. So we'll go ahead and lower it down. Okay, so we need to take the serpentine belt off. So you're going to go right here onto this pulley. Just do like that, and it'll come right off. I guess we'll go ahead and take it out from the bottom. So we'll lift it back up. But before we do that, we're going to take this valve cover off. So just double check, make sure everything is taken off. And we are good to go. You may have to take something, try to pry it up a little bit, don't mar anything. Just like that. Perfect. I'll take it right out. We will be replacing this gasket while we're here, might as well. Now we have to get the engine to top dead center, and I will show you how to do that. Okay, so we'll just take our belt and pull it off this crankshaft right here, and now it's free. Should be free to come right on out. Now then, another thing we gotta do, our timing tool has to go right up there, right by that CV axle. So I don't know if you can see that, but that bolt right there, we gotta pull that out and put our timing tool in. So we're gonna have to take off this CV axle. It says to remove it completely. I'm gonna hope that we don't have to, and just remove it here and here and just get enough room to get to it. So we will see. Okay, so you will need a 14mm with a long extension. There's 2 bolts here. There's one right here, if you can see that. And there's one right up here. So we're gonna do the top one first. Once you break them loose, they turn by hand really easy. I'll go ahead and break this one loose. Once again, once it's broke loose, you can turn it by hand. Okay, so coming under the car, see if we can just move it. Yeah, see, it's going to come out right there, and it's probably going to drip. So just be aware. Yep, there we go. We're right there where we can actually mess with that bolt now. However much fluid comes out, go ahead and put back in your transmission when you're done. So coming up here, got a 10mm. I can get it from right here. Get that loose. That's broke loose. We can just keep unscrewing it by hand. Pulls out. Keep up with this. Don't lose it. It will have to go back in. Okay, so if we look here, that circle hole is going to line up down here at the bottom. So we'll go ahead and stick our timing pin in, and then we'll go up there and look at our camshafts and make sure that it is at the correct timing. One thing to note with this tool is if you're screwing it in and it doesn't want to go in all the way, just sit there and turn the crankshaft more, because it may be hitting the crankshaft counterweight. There we go. we go. We want to make sure it sits all the way against the block. Okay, it's a 13 millimeter, and you don't want to over tighten it. You just want to make sure it's snug, just like that. Okay, so now we're going to rotate the crankshaft, make sure that it hits that peg. You'll feel it come to a dead stop right there. See, can't move it anymore. And if you listen, you'll hear it clunk. Perfect. Now let's go look at the top. Okay, we want to mark the tooth where our crankshaft sensor aligns, just so we can remember. Just like that. That way, because this will need to always line up with that. It's actually adjustable, so you can move it around. We're not going to take ours off, but still, just to be safe. Now we're going to lower the car down and look at the cams, make sure everything looks good. Also, when this is in time, you can take an M6 by 1 bolt and stick it through here, and it threads right in. So we know we're good on timing. We're going to go ahead and pull that back out. I just used one straight from the valve cover. Okay, as you can see here, we use the short pin, and now we need this bar. Okay, so I'm actually pretty glad that this has happened, because this is 180 out. See our cam lobes here? We want them to be facing each other. So you can do this wrong. So we are 180 out. I don't even think the bar will go in where it's at now. It may still go in, but this isn't where we want it. So go ahead and loosen up that plug again. Turn the crankshaft another 180 degrees. We'll just take our wrench, loosen that, turn it by hand. Now that we got it out, we can turn the crankshaft. Right where that hole is, we're going to do full 360, come back, and then our cams should be where we need them. Okay, so we're getting close, so we want to stop and put that pin back in. And tight. Just double check it with a wrench. Don't go crazy. Just aluminum. Okay, so we just turn it, hear the clunk. Just like that. And we'll put our bolt back in there just to make sure. And it lines up perfect, and it's lined up with our crankshaft sensor. So we're good to go. Okay, so looking up here, you want your camshafts to be pointing just like they are now, where they are not pushing down on the valves. So as you can see, they're like egg shaped almost. You want them to be facing the way they are right now. Now then, we should be able to just slip this bar in back here. Yep, just like that. Make sure it goes in both. And we are looking good. Okay, we're finally ready to go ahead and take this out. It is a 21 millimeter. You can use the tool to hold it and break it free that way, but I highly suggest using an impact gun, air or electric, either one, just to make this easier. We'll go ahead and get on there. There we go. We are getting a new bolt to put in there because it says to do it. You'd probably be okay reusing it, but going through all this work, might as well just change it. It's about 14 bucks. Okay, so with that removed, your crankshaft will come right off. What do we have here? Have some kind of zip tie. Must have been from the stretch belt. But as you can see, there is no keyways. They're held on by them friction washers, and we can see oil already right there. So now we want to pull this sill out, and this sill puller makes it a breeze. Okay, so to put this in, you want the spring side right here to go inwards. You want to find a socket to press it in. Okay, so we got to put the sill back in. You want this side to go inwards. If you look on the other side, you'll see that little spring that goes around there. That should be going towards it. So we're just going to stick it in here. We're just going to tap it with a rubber mallet. take a socket and start to press it in a little bit, but you don't want to go too far with it. Make sure it all goes in and seats properly. Looking pretty good. We want to make sure it's flush. Over here it's sticking out. So we'll okay. That looks good to me. Okay, so just like in my other video where I took apart the timing chain on a CX-7, I'm gonna take a clip from that and show you when you remove this bolt, it slightly takes it away from top dead center, so we need to push it back against that peg before we reinstall the crankshaft pulley. Okay guys, something I want to point out is this is something to be very aware of when you're taking it out. See how it's touching the crankshaft? The counterweight. So when you take this crankshaft bolt out, even if you're quick with it, as you can see, it's lost its place. So see, watch it come back in. So even, doesn't matter how well you do it, it's pretty much always going to do that when you loosen that bolt, even if you use an impact. Okay, so if we come under here, we come to the transmission side, we can see the flywheel. And we're just going to turn it, and then that's about all it needs, and it should be lined back up now. So now we are good to go. Okay, so just in case you didn't mark it, it should go right back where it was and be fine. But if we look here, so we got two big open spots, then we got one more open spot, and we got 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the 5th tooth. That's got to line up with the crankshaft sensor. So we're just going to stick it back up on here. It should just slide right back into place. Perfect. Now we're going to get that bolt. So to make sure this is where we need it to be, we'll stick this bolt in here. Perfect. We are lined up with our crankshaft sensor right there. Now then we can put our bolt in. Okay, so we have our new bolt. We're just going to go ahead and run that in. Do not run this in all the way. We're going to use proper torquing specs. Okay, as soon as it stops, you stop. Perfect. Okay, so if we look here, and I will be putting this up on screen, that way you can just see it better. It goes between 71 and 76 foot-pounds, and then after you get it to that, you have to turn it an additional 87 to 93 degrees. So I usually always just turn it 90. It's very easy to see it that way. Okay, so now we gotta go 90 degrees. So we're gonna mark the bolts. And come over here. Now then, once we get there, we'll be 90 degrees. So we'll put our tool in here. Just like that. So now we're ready to hold it going that way while we spin it going the other way. We're gonna have to get a cheater bar. Okay, we got a cheater bar so we can get a little extra oomph to it. All right, there we go. Perfect. Okay, now we just want to take our timing tools off. That way we can actually turn the engine over. And make sure, turn it over by hand, because if you messed anything up, the valves will hit it. It is an interference engine. Don't forget to put your little plug back in here. And then we also got to mount our CV axle back up. Once again, this is all aluminum, so you just want to get it where it stops. Now then, once you get it run down with your hand, you just want to snug it up. Remember, it is aluminum, so just a little turn, we should be good to go. Okay, now we're just going to, this is a dowel pin, it goes right into there. We're just going to get that bad boy aligned. There we go. Now once we do that, we can stick our hand up in there, get this one started. Same thing with the top up there. Just reach in. We should be able to get it started. So I got them both started. Now just go ahead and tighten them back up. Okay, so you want to remove this. Should come right out. It's a tight fit, but it also comes out very easily. You want to keep that for a later use. Now we want to spin the engine over. Make sure there's no valve interference. There shouldn't be, but you always want to check it by hand and never start the motor. Okay, you want to go ahead and turn this over 2 to 5 full revolutions. If you feel anything bind up, stop. Looks like it's doing very well to me. It's 2. We'll go ahead and stop right here. We'll line this bolt back up, make sure everything is aligned. Okay, if we look here, we have our pin in and it is lined with the tooth. Okay, so we want to go ahead and remove this. Now go ahead and put your wheel back on and we'll go back up top and put the valve cover back on. Okay, so if we look here, we need to put a little bit of black RTV right here where the timing chain cover meets the cylinder head. And then here's our torquing sequence of how you torque it, and what it gets torqued down to is 71 to 84 inch-pounds. I will put all this up on screen while I've been talking, so that will help you. Pause it if you need to. Okay, so since we did take the valve cover off, we're just going to go ahead and replace the valve cover gasket while we got it. It's really easy. We just got to pull up all these little rubber pieces. So you just want to take a pick. You can get a set of these for like $1 at Harbor Freight. Get in there. You don't want to mar anything up though, so just be careful. There we go. So now we just want to line everything up. As you can see, it's got these little indents here that fit right in. Just go all the way around. We also want to change these 3. As you can see, this one has one for the bolt. Once again, this has a circle for it, so just line it up. Make sure it all goes in. And now we'll put a little sealant right here where they connect. Clean all this up first. Okay, so we'll take a little black RTV. Doesn't need a lot. That ought to do it. Now then, just line it back up. We'll stick it back on there. Line up into place. Perfect. Now let's get all our bolts started. 2 in the middle. Now we're going to run them all down, and then we're not going to tighten them just yet. We're going to torque them down once we got them all just ran down to where they're ready to be tightened. Okay, now time to torque them. Okay, so we're going to torque these down to 77 inch-pounds. And you want to do this torque sequence. You want to start here. So 2. 3. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and 14. Perfect. Don't forget to put this bracket back on. It's best to get that bolt in first down there. Then we get our nut. We put that right back on, 10 millimeter. Perfect. Hook up our PCV. So we'll go ahead and get all of our spark plugs started. Once we get them started, we'll run them down. Just make sure not to cross thread them. Now we want to hook up all of our spark plug boots. Remember to hook up this sensor and put this back on right here. So we slide that back on. Reconnect it. Perfect. Hook up our fuel injectors. Make sure you hear the click. And then these yellow tabs, you just push them back on there. They go on easier than they did coming off. Hook up your VVT. Now just put your bolts back in, put your cover back on, and then you gotta put your belts back on, your serpentine and your stretch belt. I feel like this covers the main portion. You should be able to get the rest from here. My battery's about to die, so I'm gonna have to end it here. And that's gonna do it for this video. If you found this video helpful, please leave me a like, comment, share, and subscribe. Thank you.